I emerged from the portal into darkness, not empty, not lifeless, waiting. The hum of Ahkestrin still resonated in my bones, but here it was different, more deliberate. A test, a judgment. The moment my feet touched the ground, the space around me flared to life. Glyphs spiraled across an unseen surface, forming intricate pathways of golden light. The chamber was vast, but without walls, without sky, only shifting symbols and a presence watching. Then it spoke. "You are the bridge." The voice was not one, but many. Layered, overlapping, each tone distinct, yet woven together in harmony. It did not threaten, did not command. It assessed. A shape emerged before me, the same figure from the obelisk, its body wreathed in shifting energy. Behind it, the symbols reformed into something I recognized. Moments from my life. Earth, the mission, Anastasia and the children, the faces of my crew, the desperate hope that had brought us here. The cycles of creation and destruction that I saw. Many have come to this world before me, haven't they? The figure inclined its head. Many have come. Some failed. Some continued the rhythm. I clenched my fists. What is the rhythm? What must I do? I asked in all earnestness. But the figure was gone. I felt it before I saw it. The weight of what was coming. The air thickened. The light dimmed. And from the darkness, shapes began to emerge. Figures twisted and wrong. The remnants of those who had failed. They did not move like living things. Some dragged broken limbs. Others hovered, shifting between solid and shadow. Eyes that had once belonged to explorers, seekers of truth, now burned with something else, something hollow. The presence spoke once again. "Prove you are worthy of the path you seek." They approached, like something out of a nightmare. I prepared for battle instinctively. Close quarters combat was part of the training of the Terra Colonization Corps. The glyphs within me flared to life, guiding my steps. I moved backwards, keeping plenty of room between the figures and myself. Then it dawned on me. Although they were frightening, they weren't attacking. I sensed something other than hostility coming from them. I concentrated, reaching out with all the parts of my mind, both alien and human. They weren't creatures so much as they were echoes, fragments of those who had come before, trapped in the cycle of failure. I took a step forward, unarmed, unafraid. "You are not my enemy." The nearest figure wavered, its form distorting. The glyphs on my skin pulsed, mirroring the patterns around us. Understanding dawned. I reached out. The moment my fingers touched the nearest one, the darkness shuddered. Light coursed through the figures, unraveling them not into oblivion, but into something whole. They were not lost souls. They were remnants, waiting for release, and I had given it to them. The figures dissolved into light, their anguished echoes fading into stillness. For a moment, the chamber was silent. The presence remained, its gaze unknowable, its judgment unfinished. Then the world shook. A tremor, deep and primal, rolled through the space. The golden glyphs flickered erratically, their smooth patterns breaking apart into jagged, chaotic lines. The air thickened, charged with an energy I didn't understand, until the realization struck me like a blow. Ahkestrin was angry, not as an organism, not as a mind, but as something vast and ancient, something designed to test those who sought its knowledge. It had expected battle, conflict. I had refused, and now it was recalibrating. A deep, guttural sound, more felt than heard, reverberated through the space. The darkness above split open, revealing something vast and searing. A light, too bright to bear, an unfolding sun, a supernova. I was back on the planet's surface. Or had I ever left? The ground cracked beneath my feet. The air distorted as waves of heat pressed against my skin. If this was a trial, then it wasn't testing my strength anymore. It was testing my understanding. I had one thought. The glyphs. I dropped to one knee, pressing my hand to the fractured surface. The symbols rippled beneath my touch, responding. The ones carved into my own skin pulsed in return, resonating with the world itself. I felt the language of Ahkestrin, not in words, but in force, in balance. It wasn't just a test. It was a question. I closed my eyes and reached, not with my hands, not with my will, but with my belief. The glyphs had guided me before, had taught me that the cycles of this planet were not about destruction, but about breaking free. A freedom that only came with connection, with equilibrium. This disaster, it was a reaction, a violent, desperate attempt to enforce the existing order. But I had already changed it. Permanently. The supernova expanded, a wall of white-hot annihilation roaring toward me. I exhaled, not in fear, not in surrender, in control. The glyphs answered my commands. They flared, not with force but with harmony. I traced a shape into the air, and the symbols around me followed. The ground sealed itself, the fractures vanishing into smooth, perfect symmetry. The waves of heat slowed, bent, and then reversed. The light of the star dimmed, folding inward, collapsing upon itself, not into destruction, but into balance. The pressure vanished, the silence returned. And then the presence spoke. You understand. The trial was over, and I had won. I turned around to find myself back at the ship, back where it all started. But the vessel was perfectly intact. It was as if the crash never happened. Exhausted from the trials, I gasped and stumbled forward, intent on exploring it. The metal walls, the hum of life support, real, solid, familiar. Then suddenly, a sharp intake of breath made me spin. Anastasia. She stood frozen, eyes wide with disbelief, and behind her, David, my son, Eleanor, my daughter, and my crew, their faces a mixture of awe and fear. I took a step towards them. It's me, my voice cracked. I'm back. Anastasia hesitated only a second before she ran to me. I barely had time to brace before she threw her arms around me, holding on as if afraid I'd vanish. You were gone, she whispered, voice thick with emotion. We thought. I held her tighter. I was gone. David clung to my side, his small hands gripping my sleeve. Eleanor hugged my ankle, barely understanding what was happening, but full of joy. My crew watched, their expressions wary. They saw something different in me, and they were right to do so. I wasn't the same man who had stepped onto Ahkestrin. You survived, Anastasia said, unable to hold back tears any longer. I survived. But it was never just about survival. It was about understanding. The crew exchanged glances. Anastasia's grip on my hand tightened. Understanding what? She asked. I have a lot to tell you, I said, looking directly into her eyes. And the children as well. Everything's going to be okay now. And then I remembered, stargazing with Anastasia at the Terra Colonization Corps spaceport on Earth's moon before I had left on my mission. What do you think it will take, I had asked her, before all those stars feel the same peace I do when I hold your hand? And I knew. That was why I had been chosen. That was why I had the seed. The figure had told me to remember. It had always known. I had been meant not to lead human settlers, but to guide them, to be the bridge. I turned to the crew. Gentlemen, I said, are you ready to finish what we started? Then, together, we left the past behind, and the future began. The twin suns of New Terra, the first world of Ahkestrin, colonized by mankind, cast long shadows across the valley, their golden light shimmering against ancient structures that the newcomers had made their own. Towers of stone and crystal stretched toward the sky, seamlessly woven with the living glyphs that now pulsed in harmony with their people. Beside them, human-built cities stood tall, modern, thriving yet shaped by the lessons of this world. I stood at the edge of the settlement, overlooking the vast plains beyond, Footsteps approached behind me. "You're up early," I said, my aging voice weathered but steady. David stepped into view, his presence as familiar to me as the rhythm of Ahkestrin itself. For 14 years, this had been his home. He had known no other sky but this endless expanse of violet and gold. I saw how tall he'd grown, how the quiet fire burned in his eyes, the same determination that had once driven me across a hostile world. Another presence joined us, gentle, yet unwavering. Anastasia stood beside me, her gaze drifting over our world, our home. She reached for my hand, and I took it without a word. The calm on her face was deep and unshakable, as always. "Couldn't sleep," David admitted. "I keep thinking about what's out there." He gestured toward the horizon. "We've only scratched the surface of this world." I smiled and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then go." He turned toward me, searching for hesitation, for doubt. I gave him none. "This world isn't just ours," I said. "We're part of something greater now. And you were born to explore it. And if I know your sister, she won't be far behind." Anastasia nodded, her voice soft but resolute. "And wherever you go, remember, you carry all of us with you." David turned back toward the horizon. The glyphs shimmered faintly in the morning light, whispering secrets only those willing to listen could hear. With one last glance at us, he stepped forward, and the journey began anew.